The life at large is dual in nature. There is one action and there is a reversal of that action, or an action which is opposite to that action. Like, for example, if you take any aspect of life and look at the core, it is always dual, like male and female, like positive and negative, like pushing and pulling, like one leg standing on one leg and then shifting it to another leg, maybe day and night, day and night. So there is always a shift from one side to another side. It's a kind of a pendulum. Life, in terms of functionality, if you look at it, it will look like a pendulum. Now, in a pendulum, if it goes left to the highest point, it has to go right to the highest point. There has to be a day and there has to be a reversal of the day. There has to be night. Right? Positive, negative together creates an atom, or a flow of energy also, when both positive and negative work together in a particular manner. The flow is in a particular manner. So, for example, pushing and pulling. Let's take life in terms of something that we can correlate with sun and moon. If sun is not there, there is no life. If moon is not there, there is no life. But how these two correlate together or work together? Sun is like, it always gives an expansion to material. Moon always gives an consolidation to the material. Whenever the sun rises, you can look at it in terms of a blooming lotus. The moment sun comes up, it starts expanding. And the moment sun tries to go down, it starts contracting and consolidating to its own core. Now, these are two activities that sun and moon together actually conducts on this planet Earth. And because of these two continuous activity, the process of life happens. So it has to be in a particular rhythm, sun, moon. It has to be, it comes to a waveform. Up and down, like a pendulum, this side and that side, this side and that side. When the things are in balance, that is called as health. Especially in terms of mind, if we say pressure expansion, pressure contraction. So that the pattern remains constant for a certain period of time. We took an example of an enclosed space where there is a certain amount of pressure and there is an arrangement. If we tend to increase the pressure, the arrangement will change, but we'll have to decrease the pressure so that arrangement comes back to the original position. If this process keeps happening, it is just like cycling. If the cycling keeps happening, the time will change and there will be a progression of life. A healthy progression if the rhythm is okay, if the rhythm is fine. Just like a wave, the same kind of a crest and trough, the upward movement and the downward movement, it will create a progression of that wave smoothly. Suppose you deviate it, the pressure deviation happens. There is more of an expansion and less of a contraction. The wave will not be even. The progression will become very difficult. It is just like running with one leg short and one leg long. It's difficult. It's not at ease. When things are not at ease, they are into some kind of a disease. So, expansion and contraction, pushing and pulling. Human beings are like magnet. Or life, the core of life is like a magnet. Anything you see, it gets stuck. That is what we call memory. And everybody wants a good memory, isn't it? So everybody wants things to stuck with them very efficiently. But then if things remain stuck with somebody, it will become difficult. Suppose somebody hugs you and doesn't leave you. What will be your state? You'll not be able to function. So life will not be able to function if something gets stuck and doesn't get released. It's just like pushing and pulling. Though both the things has to happen. If there is more of a pulling and less of a pushing, or you eat more and defecate less, what will happen? Or defecate more and eat less, what will happen? Some kind of an imbalance. So, if things get stuck, and I'm talking about mind can easily be seen like a magnet. Like a magnet. Whatever you see through your five senses, it gets stuck to that arrangement within your body. It can be neuro arrangement. It can be other cellular arrangements. And those arrangements is considered as memory. Memory happens in your body. There is no other space for memory. So there is no memory card which is stuck to you, or there is no hard drive which is there so that you have to plug in. It is your body. Your mind is your body. But it is like a magnet. Everything gets stuck. But to function properly, you need to relieve it also. Nature has its own way to relieve the human mind. That is why after a certain period of time, you forget those memories. If you keep those memories, if the memories remain on, you'll not be able to function. That is why there is a relieving of memory which happens. Most of the things you don't remember. At a particular point, there are more than 1 lakh impressions which get formed in your mind. But you remember only certain impression which happens throughout the day. Even if you have lived a day, you remember only certain things. If your magnet is very strong, you will remember more. But then it will also become a curse. There will be a tendency to actually churn out the memory which has happened in your mind. And if you keep churning out the memory, the progression, moving ahead in life will become very, very difficult. It is just like you are looking back and trying to move forward. It doesn't work like that. So for most of the people, their mind are at different levels of intensity, or the magnetic strength of everybody's mind is different. There are people in their mind, things get stuck very fast and get stuck very intensely. They can't relieve themselves of those memories, and they do anything and everything. They feel uncomfortable and they do anything and everything to relieve themselves out of it. They also go up to an extent of doing suicide. But we are not understanding why. The people whose mind are not that intense, they always think why people do suicide or why they become criminal. They can put a blame on those people, but they don't understand it. Now, let me also tell you, if your mind is very, very intense, there are two possibilities, very intense possibilities. Getting stuck to something, or getting to in an experience, high intensity experience. Also, there is a high possibility of relieving yourself of mind. So saints and criminals are both the same thing, same people. A criminal has a very, very high possibility of becoming a saint, not other people. They are the two sides of the same coin. Only if you experience your life intensely, you would want to relieve yourself out of that experience. If you can't experience intensely, you would always want to experience. So for normal people who have very less intense mind, they will always keep on going ahead in a mind or going ahead in their life in terms of a loop, always trying to experience the same thing again and again, life after life, year after year, day after day. Their possibility of evolution is less. And we have seen criminals who have become sane, isn't it? Somebody who has wrote the whole Ramayana. In Buddha's lifetime, there was an Angulimal. Hmm. So we have seen either somebody who has a very high intensity of life, like a king, very high intensity of life, they'll become saint. A criminal will become saint. not ordinary people. Usually, ordinary people, the possibility is less. And I'm not talking about what kind of work person does. I'm talking about the kind of intensity, the intensity of magnet the person has. Person can be anywhere. A person can be a king or a very poor person. There are many, many examples of poor person who were very intense in their life and they attained moksha or they attained the highest pedestal of experience of life. So, what is disease? If you are not able to relieve yourself of an impression, a very, very high intense mind will create any kind of an imagination, isn't it? So, what is schizophrenia? Just imagining something and making it real in your life. In your experience, it becomes real. It's schizophrenia. And if your life has become such that instead of experiencing life instead of a human being, you are becoming a thinking being. You know, you have five senses to experience life. And if you don't use those five senses, because in today's time, we have become a thinking being rather than a human being. There are two aspects of your life, a physical part of you and a subtle part of you. Psycho, soma. Psycho is subtle part of you. Soma is the physical part of you. That is how a person can also be described. Psychosoma. Most of the diseases are psychosomatic disease. The subtle part of you and the physical part of you. If you are using the physical part, you can have the opportunity to use the subtle part also. These things has to be balanced. Now, let me also tell you, if your mind works through the physicality, using the physicality more also addresses the mind. But if you try to reverse the order, it is not the same. Because of the make of living beings. The physical part has to be addressed more, and the subtle part gets addressed automatically through it. Now we are trying to reverse the whole order of life. We are trying to experience everything through our mind. And it doesn't work. So what we will become? We'll become a thinking being we are becoming a thinking being rather than a living being. Because of the kind of lifestyle we have incorporated in the last 100 years. And, and due to the lack of understanding of depth of life, the whole world was regulated or controlled by the Western people. Or we can also say a Brahmical thought process. They don't understand life in its entirety. Thereby, whatever they have done, we have tagged it science and we have tagged it modernity and we have tagged it also in a certain way evolution, civilization, and so on and so forth. But there was no depth to it. So we changed our lifestyle and we have become a thinking. Just look at a child in today's time. A child is always thinking. So experience happens through five senses, through the body. If you do not get into experience, you will try to get into experience by other means, by looking at a movie, by looking at a video, by creating something in your mind. So we have become a thinking being. And this is what you can call as mental disease. तो मनस और मनोविकार की बात कर रहे हैं और हम इसको डिस्क्राइब करें मनोकाया। तो हमने पहले ही बता दिया ये एक अरेंजमेंट है। काया मीन्स एन अरेंजमेंट। काया का मतलब अरेंजमेंट होता है। काया का मतलब शरीर भी होता है, बट शरीर का मतलब ही अरेंजमेंट होता है। द संस्कृत लिटरल ट्रांसलेशन ऑफ काया इज अ पर्टिकुलर काइंड ऑफ एन अरेंजमेंट। तो मनोकाया जब हम बोलते हैं और मनस बोलते हैं, जब मनः बोलते हैं, मन बोल रहे हैं, मम बोल रहे हैं, माँ बोल रहे हैं, तो इसका मतलब ही होता है मेरा, जो मैं हूं। अगर आध्यात्मिक लेवल से देखें जो मैं हूं तो फिर अलग हो जाएगा, मगर वो कारण पे आ जाएगा। मगर अभी जो ह्यूमन एक्सपीरियंस, मानव के अनुभव में जो चीज आती है, वो अपने आप को ही अनुभव करता है। आप सारे अनुभव अपने आप को ही करते हैं। आप सोचते हैं कि आपने एक सूर्योदय देखा और आपको बहुत अच्छा लगा, मगर 10 लोगों को वही सूर्योदय दिखाइए और सबको सेम एक्सपीरियंस नहीं होता, सेम समान अनुभव नहीं होता है। इसका मतलब अनुभव सूर्योदय में नहीं हो रहा। इसका मतलब अनुभव आपके अंदर हो रहा है, और आपका अनुभव आपकी मनोकाया की वजह से होता है। तो आपका अनुभव अगर सुंदर है तो आपकी मनोकाया जो है वो, उसकी स्थिति सुंदर है। अगर आपका अनुभव ठीक नहीं है तो आपकी मनोकाया की स्थिति सुंदर नहीं है, आरामदेह नहीं है। तब उसको चिकित्सा की जरूरत पड़ेगी। तो जब हम मनस की बात करते हैं, हम भारतीय परंपराओं में, आयुर्वेद की परंपराओं में भी देखें और भारतीय कलाचार में देखें, तो हम माइंड एंड बॉडी ऐसा नहीं बोलते। हम इसको और भी बाइफर्केशन करते हैं। अगर आप ध्यान से चंद्रमा को ऑब्जर्व करते हैं और एक प्राकृतिक जगह पे रहते हैं, तो चंद्रमा के साथ में आपके भाव बदलते हैं हर रोज। और हर रोज आपके भाव बदलते हैं, आपकी मनोकाया भिन्न होती है, और मनोकाया की कैपेसिटी, उसकी कैपेबिलिटी भी अलग होती है, गुण भी अलग होता है।